Hey everyone, this is Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is October 21st, 2021, and these are the top stories of the day. To kick things off, we have some mysterious footage restored from the Pokemon Company. This is a follow-up video from yesterday's that was kind of grainy footage Pokemon Company released in anticipation of Pokemon Legends Arceus for Nintendo Switch coming next year, January 2022. Today we're going to check out this new clear footage in HD, unobstructed from the grain. Let's push play and watch it together.
Hang on, is this working? Please be recording this properly. It's currently 7:07 p.m. I'm hoping to document some wild Pokemon using this strange device. Wow. It really is beautiful out here. Everything around me is blanketed in snow. Those are wild Snorunt! You see, Snorunt feed on snow and ice to survive. Whoa, look at those jumps. So energetic even though it's so cold here. And next, I'm going to try climbing up there. This place is, how do I put this? It has a mysterious air about it. I want to go just a little farther in. Is that a Pokemon? Is that a Growlithe? No, a Vulpix. No, not that either. The tip of its tail is red and swaying. I think it's turning this way. It's adorable.
Right.
The white fur on top of its head and around its neck is so fluffy. Its eyes are round and yellow. What's that?
Humans, trainers can get attacked by Pokemon this time. Ooh, cool. That was a fun video. You know, I like this marketing strategy that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are doing in preparation for Pokemon Legends Arceus. And I definitely wouldn't mind seeing more of this in the months to come. Of course, Diamond and Pearl's remakes come out later this year. Arceus is early 2022. They're not exactly far apart or too close, but you could make the argument that if someone just wants a new Pokemon fix, they might be too close where someone's not willing to spend $120 to get both games, or all three games $180, right? However, I think that they're spread far apart and are distinct enough in experiences that they should both sell, or all three sell, well enough to their maximum capacity. Hopefully, at least, right? Diamond and Pearl remakes of beloved entries from the DS era. I think that they'll do well. And Legends Arceus providing gamers with a bigger, more open world experience, a different type of gameplay, fight combat system, etc. Here's hoping for the best of both, but back specifically to this footage, which isn't gameplay footage, it definitely would be cool if it was littered throughout the game, if they found a way how to make these story elements occur in the game with this kind of cinematic approach. That would be cool. Probably not going to happen though, but at the very least, hopefully in the coming months, if they drop something similar to this once every several weeks, that'd be pretty neat and a fun way to build extra hype for Arceus next year. All right, moving on. We have some good news, and that is regarding the sales so far of the Nintendo Switch OLED model, specifically how it did worldwide in its opening weekend of October 8th through October 10th. Specifically, up to now, we only knew of its data in Japan, and that it cleared somewhere around 130,000 units. I can report that worldwide, it passed 600,000 units in that opening weekend. I don't know anything more specific, like is 700,000, 760,000 the number, 650,000, what? But it cleared 600,000, which is very promising. Great start. Basically, it sold out of what Nintendo shipped to retailers around the world, Japan, North America, Europe, etc. It pretty much sold everything out, and you will see in the upcoming story after this for Famitsu sales for the week ending the 17th of October, how it did for that week, just for Japan though. And on the Metroid Dread front, I could report that it cleared 500,000 worldwide. Now, it's inferred that it blasted past 500,000, but no specific number was given, no indication of, 950,000 or 1.1 million, nothing like that. Just blasted past 500,000, and that's why I chose to use those words. Blasts past 500,000. Now, like I said, once again, the only concrete data that we received last week was from Famitsu's charts in Japan. It did somewhere close to 90,000 worldwide, close to 90,000 in Japan, just physical. We don't know what the digital ratio was. On the higher end, maybe Metroid Dread did something like 160,000, maybe 120,000 low end. To be safe, 120,000 low end. But I can report that it did over 500,000 worldwide for that same weekend when it did that 90,000 for sure in Japan without digital included. This 500K, digital and physical included worldwide. But like I said, more than that. If you're disappointed and think that 500,000 sounds low, don't be, because like I said, a little bit of my own assumption on what was provided is that it's north of 500K quite significantly. So we'll see when Nintendo drops official numbers, but I'm excited, and you should be too, because OLED model doing well is great for Nintendo. Help it last longer throughout the generation. More hype around the Nintendo Switch before they eventually do a Plus or a Pro or whatever, or a Nintendo Switch 2. And Metroid Dread selling well, that's something that we need because we want this game to sell well. We want 2D Metroid back and not have to wait years for a sequel. Imagine how awesome it would be if like every 3 or 4 years we either got a 2D Metroid or another Metroid Prime game or another 3D series that begins after Prime. That would be great. Doesn't have to be so back to back that you kind of lose that appreciation factor, but it would be awesome if we got it more often than we currently do. Okay, moving on. Final part of the discussion for today is the Famitsu sales charts. Thank you to Chris1964 from the Install Base forum who puts this chart together. You could find this on Famitsu.com, but Chris1964 puts it together really nicely, and it's a fun community to discuss the sales with, specifically in Japan. So let's check out the top 10 for the week in terms of software sales. At the number 1 spot is a new title, PlayStation 4's Demon Slayer, with 94,849 copies sold. At number 2, Metroid Dread dropped, once again, this is just a physical chart, to 22,221 copies, which was a 74% drop from the previous week. 74% sounds like a lot. That is a fair amount, but there are a couple of things to consider. One, it is a solo single-player game without a multiplayer component. Typically, games that are of that nature do have a significant drop. But that being said, 74 is actually not as bad as some other games that are, of this, not to say necessarily genre, but in this circumstance of being single-player games that don't have that multiplayer component. Oftentimes, they drop even more than 74%. Secondly, sources are saying that the sell-through is actually pretty high. Like, it's not that Nintendo just unleashed, boom, a couple 100,000 more units and that it only sold through, a tenth of that. No, not the case. I don't know what the shipment numbers were for week 2, but it wasn't that high. So there's actually a little bit of a stock issue going on here. So could that mean that week 2's digital actually eclipsed this? I don't know. But although I would say it's unlikely for that to have occurred in the first week, digital being over physical, don't think so. This time around, due to stock issues, maybe, right? We'll see though. Anyways, number 3 is the PlayStation 5 version of Demon Slayer with 20,187. That's quite a drop from PlayStation 4's to PlayStation 5's version of that game. At 4 is PS4's The Idolmaster at 15,597. At 5 is PS4's Back for Blood with 13,112. Nice to see a Western game there. Cool. At 6 is Nintendo Switch's Monarch with 10,521. At 7, PS4's Far Cry 6 with 9,917. At 8 is the Minecraft Nintendo Switch version with 9,648. At 9 is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with 9,615. And at 10 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with 9,402 copies sold. Not a lot of big numbers this week. In fact, if you go from the number 1 spot to number 2, there's a 72,000 unit split there. So really most of the week was about Demon Slayer, specifically on PlayStation 4. But overall, that's a 4 PS4, 1 PS5, 5 Nintendo Switch game layout of the week. 5 and 5 if you want to go directly Sony to Nintendo. Not bad. Everyone's kind of eating something. And on the hardware side of things, Nintendo Switch overall sold just shy of 73,000 units, 72,944. PlayStation 5, a total of 18,709. Xbox Series overall, 4,187. PlayStation 4 at 613. And the Nintendo 3DS at 373. If you look at the Nintendo Switch, it dropped significantly from last week. But what we're being told is that this is not for a lack of interest in OLED, but a lack of stock. If you look down here, you see the specific breakdown of the 3 models. The Nintendo Switch OLED model is at 32,000 for the week. Nintendo Switch makes up 30,000, and the Nintendo Switch Lite makes up 9,500. And yeah, you see that big difference of 138 down to 32. This is not that, Nintendo shipped 140,000 last week, 140,000 this week, and the interest just dropped. No. Look at the Nintendo Switch base model. 30,000 compared to last week's 32. That's about even. Nintendo Switch Lite this week versus last week's. It actually sold a little bit more. This big drop, this disparity, is not indicative of lack of interest. It's lack of stock. And that kind of goes back to that whole 600,000 plus thing where Nintendo shipped, which is worldwide. It was a worldwide launch. It sold out. And that's pretty awesome to see. My only fear is, can Nintendo make enough OLED models to satisfy the demand? Because here's another thing, and this is what I talk about almost every week. It's this whole thing online of whether or not Nintendo Switch in 2021 can sell out past its 2020 self. For the majority of the year, it was, at least in Japan. Ever since the OLED model got announced, in July, Nintendo Switch has been selling a little bit fewer and fewer copies, units every week, minus a couple of weeks here and there because people were anticipating the OLED model, saving onto it. You saw that effect happen for the month of September, specifically in the United States when the NPD data came out, which is actually impressive that throughout the month of July and August, Nintendo Switch was still the #1 best-selling system in the United States. But by September, that's the month that's closest to October, the month where people are going to hold off on buying that Switch because instead of, I'm not going to wait 3 months, I'm not going to wait 2 months, which is what happened in, July and August respectively. Now it's, I can't wait a month to get OLED. And that's what happened. And that's why we got that big boom in sales. So it comes down to, I think, can Nintendo pump out enough OLEDs? If they can't, I'm sure that the Nintendo Switch on its own is going to sell out over the holidays, but it would be really nice if they could make enough OLEDs because that's the guarantee. It's a hot new item. Say what you will about it, whether or not you're interested, because it's not a plus model, it's not a pro model, it's not a 2, it doesn't do anything different in terms of 4K visuals for TV. It's just a better quality handheld experience with an Ethernet port, sure. So it adds that, but overall, it's a 3DS XL. It's a DS XL, right? Better, bigger, brighter screen, higher quality kickstand. But it's enough. It's enough for Nintendo to be talk of the town with it, to get people reinvigorated in Nintendo Switch, to help that ecosystem out, to keep the word of mouth strong, to keep the library strong, so that Nintendo doesn't have to rush out and make a new platform anytime soon. Maybe they will come out with one in November 2022. Maybe it will be like a March 2023 one. We'll see. We made up some good space last week by beating this same week respectively from last year, but this week we're down 72,000 compared to last year's 95,000 for the week. So if you look at the lifetime to date, we're at 4.157 million. Last year, 4.249 million. So we're a little bit down compared to last year. Fewer than 100,000 units separate the two, though. I think that if Nintendo could make enough, 2021 is going to win. If they can't, maybe 2020 will narrowly edge it out. But I'm still Team 2021. We're getting close to that 21.5 million mark for Switch, which is cool. PS5, of course, we don't have data from last year yet, but it did better than last week, which is nice. We're probably going to finish the year with 1.5 million, maybe. That's if Sony could ship enough. We've got the Xbox Series at 4,100, which is a good 700 more units sold than last year's itself. It took Xbox One a lot longer, like 4 years long, to reach 106,000, and Microsoft did it this time in less than a year. That's nice. When we get to 150,000 here, that's going to be big, because then it will have outsold the entirety of Xbox One in Japan. And you look down at PS4 and 3DS, they're on their last legs. They're not making any new ones. It's just what's left in stock. But yeah, that's going to do it today for Video Game News with PGN. Thanks for watching with me. Let me know what you thought of that Pokemon footage. I thought it was pretty cool. Let me know, are you proud of the OLED model, and maybe more specifically Metroid Dread, because new consoles probably going to sell out, but to have a game that we all love sell out, that's a good feeling. And maybe not sell out necessarily like everyone that bought a Switch bought it, there's no copies left, because that would be a 90 million seller. That's not a thing. But, are you happy with the sales so far? And Famitsu sales, what do you think of the market in Japan from a software and hardware standpoint? All right, good talk. Thanks for watching. This is PGN signing out. Hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you next time.